Hello, this is Mrs. Lewis here. I'm going to start by going over the homework from section 4.1 practice A that you were given. We did not get the opportunity to review these problems during class, so you should have, so what I would like you to do is make sure that you have opened the original homework assignment in Schoology for this, and I have put in an answer key. So before you watch me do all these problems, you need to go back into Schoology where this assignment was originally posted. Click on the answer key that's just been added. Use it to check your answers in case you were not able to check them all in class. After you've done that, come back to the video and you can watch me work some of these problems. Okay, so hopefully you've checked your answers now at this point and you know which ones you missed. I'm going to do problems 7, 10, 12, and 13 in this video. So if we look at number 7, that we're asked to write and solve an equation to answer the question. Number 7 says, what number is 140% of 45? So for these problems, if you recall, where we're using the formula, it was A for part equals the percent P times W for the whole, okay? So in number 7, we're asked what number is 140% of 45. So because it's asking me for a percentage of 45, that makes 45 my whole. And whatever this number is back here that we don't know, this is going to be our part. So we've got our whole is 45. So we'll put 45 for the whole. Make sure that your first step is always writing down the formula. For my percent, I'm given 140%. I need to convert that to a decimal. So to convert 140% to a decimal, in order to put it into the formula, I move my decimal 2 spaces to the left. It becomes 1.4. So I'll have 1.4 for P. And then I can solve that for A. So on the calculator, I just need to type in 1.4 times 45, and that gives me an answer of 63. So the part A is 63. Number 10. Your class is going on a field trip. 24 students have turned in their permission slips so far. This is 80% of the students in the class. How many students are in the class? Okay? So this is still the same concept that you were doing before. You need to identify what we're given. Are we given a whole? Are we given a part? Are we given a percent? We're given 2 of those things, and the third one we have to figure out. So we've got 24 students have turned in their permission slips so far. Okay? That represents 80% of your class. How many students are in the class? So 24 is just some of the students in the class. So 24 is our part, and 80% is our P. So we're going to write down our formula. A equals P times W. Our part A is the 24 students who've turned in their slips. Our percent, it said that it was 80%. So we need to convert 80% to a decimal. So you're going to start here, you're going to go back 2 spaces, and it's going to be 0.8. Or if you want to say 0.80, that's fine. So 0.8, and then W, the whole, that would be the number of students in the entire class, and that's what we're asked to find. So we're going to solve this for W. So you're using your inverse operations. This is 0.8 times W. You need to undo that multiplication. So you do that by dividing both sides by 0.8. Dividing both sides by 0.8 will cancel that out and leave you with a decimal. 24 divided by 0.8 gives me 30. So I'm getting 30 equals W, so that means there are 30 students in the class. Number 12. You have R rare coins consisting of P pennies and N nickels. Okay? Part A, P is 20% of 190. How many pennies do you have? Okay, so in this one, I did not really use my formula. I just converted my sentences into mathematical symbols. If you know that the word is means equals and the word of is asking you to multiply, then you can just convert this into an equation. You can write P equals, make your 20% a decimal, so 0.2, and times 190. And you've got an equation to solve. So P is 20% of 190. P is, that's the 20% of multiply 190. And then you can type this into your calculator. And that gives me an answer of 38 pennies. So that's part A. Part B, 190 is 200% of R. How many rare coins do you have? So again, I'm going to write this as a sentence or as a mathematical statement. 190 equals, and then I convert 200% and multiply by R. How do I convert 200% to a decimal? Well, I start at the back. I move my decimal 2 spaces to the left, so it becomes 2. It's going to look funny because you want it to look like you want to see a decimal there, but this time you don't have it. 200% converted to a decimal is just 2. So you're going to write 190 equals 2 times R. And now you're going to solve that for R. So you're going to do inverse operations. You're going to divide both sides by this 2. Cancel out your 2's. 190 divided by 2 is going to give me 95. So if R is 95, that means I have 95 rare coins. Part C. N is 60% of R. How many nickels do you have? Okay, so we just found R in part B. So we're going to write this as a sentence. N equals, we're going to convert 60%. That's going to be 0.6 times R. N equals 0.6 times R. And then we know that R from part B was 95. So we'll substitute 95 for R. And we'll multiply 0.6 times 95. And that will give us 57. So that means that there are 57 nickels. So that's number 12. And then number 13. The table shows the sales receipt for your purchase. Okay? The items with a T next to the price are subject to sales tax. So from the chart, we can see that the earrings had a sales tax associated with them, and the granola bar had a sales tax associated with it. They're asking us to, what % sales tax did you pay? So we're going to look at just the items that had the sales tax, and then we have a total tax that we paid of 21 cents. So by just looking at the earrings and the granola bar, we can see that the tax on the earrings plus the tax on the 50 cents, or the tax on the granola bar, added together makes 21 cents. So we're going to solve that as an equation. And we're going to say, that 3t plus 0.5t equals 0.21, okay? So it's just the tax on the earrings plus the tax on the granola bar added together is 21 cents. So we can solve this equation. 3t plus 0.5t, these are like terms. I can combine those and add it. It becomes 3.5t equals 0.21. And then we're going to divide both sides by 3.5. Okay, so we get a tax of, we're going to type in 0.21 divided by 3.5. That gives me 0.06, so t equals 0.06. Okay, but we want the percent, not the decimal. So to express this as a percent, we move the decimal 2 spaces to the right, and it becomes 6% for our answer. 6% sales tax. For part B, calculate the price of the top. Okay, so there's different ways that this can be done, but we know that all of the items added up to a total of, the subtotal was $13. So that was without even accounting for the tax. You could just, if you add the original price of the earrings, the socks, the granola bar, and the top is $13. So you can feel free to ignore the tax on this problem. So to figure this one out, I'm just going to start with my subtotal, $13, and I'm going to subtract the price of the earrings, the socks, and the granola bar, and that will leave me with the price at the top. And that gives me a value of 7.5, so that means the top was $7.50. So we paid $7.50 for the top. Part C, the price you paid for the top was 60% of the original price. What was the original price of the top? Okay, again, there's more than one way you can do this. I would probably use a proportion for this one. That's the quick and easy way to do it. So the price we paid, the $7.50, was 60%. So I can say $7.50 was 60%. That's a ratio. And I can set that equal. I'm going to put over here, I'm going to put the original price and the original percent. Well, the original percent was 100%, the full price. And the original price before the sale is the value that we're trying to figure out. Okay, so what have I done here? I've just set it up using a proportion. The original, or excuse me, the price that we paid, the $7.50, was 60%, so I set up my ratio. And then the price, the original price, was the full 100%. We have to figure that out. So notice how they're all lining up, just like we did with proportions. And we know that with a proportion, we can cross multiply. Before we do that, we need to think about these. Let's think about these as decimals. So we can say 7.5. 60% would be 0.6. 100%, if I convert to a decimal, move it back 2 spaces, that's just 1. And now I can cross multiply. 7.5 times 1 is 7.5. 0.6 times x is 0.6x. And then to solve for x, we're going to divide both sides by 0.6. All right, so 0.5 divide by 0.6 gives me 12.5. So that means the original price was $12.50. So I hope that answers any questions that you've had from 4.1 Practice A homework.